The following program is the work of the broadcast students at the British Columbia Institute of Technology. BCIT Magazine features news stories from around the Lower Mainland which were produced over the last week. Responsibility for the content of the show rests completely with the students and their instructors.
Coming up on BCIT Magazine, getting up close to a climate change protest.
Learn why the Richmond Food Bank needs help.
And how new developments are impacting the housing crisis. Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm James Parisi.
And I'm Callie McTavish. It's been a busy week in the world of news, so we're going to get right into it.
World Climate Conference COP26 wraps up in Scotland this Friday. For several weeks, Extinction Rebellion protesters have been demonstrating around Metro Vancouver. My co-anchor Callie McTavish explains why.
Climate activist organization Extinction Rebellion held protests around Vancouver for several weeks. They hope their efforts will impact the Canadian government's commitments at COP26.
They signed the Kyoto Call way back when, and had that been acted, we wouldn't have been in this emergency situation that we're in now.
The Government of Canada's website indicates greenhouse gas emissions have increased 21% between 1990 and 2019. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is promising to end this trend.
We'll cap oil and gas sector emissions today and ensure they decrease tomorrow at a pace and scale needed to reach net zero by 2050.
Extinction Rebellion members aren't the only ones who feel government is not acting fast enough.
If we're going to limit the future warming to something like 1.5 degrees or even 2 degrees, everything that you emit now is like you have this budget and you're spending all the time. So every year that goes by, we're spending more of that money. And so every year we delay, it gets harder and harder and harder.
But not everyone agrees with how Extinction Rebellion is choosing to draw attention to the climate crisis.
Everyone should be arrested. It's illegal.
You know, it's been 2 hours. I'm stuck in traffic, so I'm late for work because of the protest.
We know that we are disruptive, and that's intentional. And we know that we're not popular, and we don't want to be.
Extinction Rebellion says they will continue to disrupt until they see promises become real climate action. Callie McTavish in Vancouver for BCIT News Magazine.
Prime Minister Trudeau has also promised $1 billion to help industry move away from using coal. In addition, Trudeau is calling on world leaders to bring in a universal tax on companies that pollute.
A new report by Food Banks Canada says more people are struggling with hunger than ever before. The hardest hit often live near large cities like Vancouver. Reporter Elijah Polson breaks it down.
For many people, putting produce on the table has been a challenge at the best of times. But COVID-19 has made nutrition more difficult than before.
It seems like we're always getting new signups each week. The pandemic has had a huge impact on inequalities that already existed.
Food Banks Canada recently reported a 20% increase in food bank visits since 2019, with over 1.3 million visits in March 2021 alone. In Richmond, that number is much higher.
In 2020, we saw a 49% increase in the number of people that accessed our services. So most of the people that come to the food bank, they were working either in the retail industry or the tourism industry or hospitality. So those services were the most hit.
And the Richmond Food Bank Society continues to be challenged by the pandemic in 2021. As of this month, they are the lifeline for almost 2,400 people.
We're just seeing just how on the line a lot of people were.
And the rising cost of living could be one reason why even more people are expected to fall below the line. Inflation is at its highest year-over-year rate since February 2003, with food prices rising by 4% within the last year.
Everybody's noticing it. I'm noticing it, and I'm looking out for it too now.
Despite these challenges, members of the community have responded, as Richmond's food bank has over 200 volunteers regularly helping with food distribution.
Our community has been so generous. It's amazing how everybody has stepped up.
Richmond's food bank is one of many across the province looking to help those in need fight food insecurity. And whether through volunteer hours or a simple donation, you can help push hunger to the curb. Elijah Polson in Richmond for BCIT Magazine.
We're now joined live by reporter Elijah Polson. Elijah, what else did you learn from the Food Banks Canada report?
Well, Callie, one stat that was surprising to me is that over a third of food bank users are children. And this is despite the fact that just 20% of our population is under the age of 18.
That's heartbreaking, Elijah. Can you tell us more about why that might be the case?
Well, the pandemic is definitely partly to blame here. It's caused more unemployment, an increased cost of raising a family, and led to more children being susceptible to hunger and poverty. Back to you.
Many people are struggling to find safe and affordable rental homes in Vancouver. One housing advocate says things could get even worse due to a new rezoning proposal. Reporter Joe Paris takes us on a tour.
This is the complex.
Rhiannon Latimer is a single mother who lives in low-income housing at Adirondack and Commercial. The owners of the building, Entre Nous Femmes Housing Society, has told tenants they will have to vacate the building as it's slated to be redeveloped.
My son plays outside, like you don't have to worry, everyone's so nice. Plus I can have my dog.
Last April, the City of Vancouver passed zoning amendments to social housing bylaws that allow non-profit organizations to redevelop their housing up to 6 stories without having to consult the public. Latimer says the move doesn't make sense for tenants like her.
I understand affordable housing, and I'm all for that, but you can't evict people that need it to provide more for other people.
Now, the City of Vancouver is considering applying similar amendments to zoning bylaws across large portions of residential Vancouver. City Council held a public forum on November 2nd to consider the potential benefits of upzoning residential areas to accommodate commercial rental buildings along major arteries. The move is aimed at alleviating the city's shortage of affordable rental units, but at least one activist says the plan is flawed.
In favor of building small apartments across the city. I think it's a very important part of what we need in this town. Unfortunately, what they're also trying to do is to reduce community engagement further than we've had even for the last 10 years.
If passed, the bylaw amendments would allow developers to erect up to 6 stories in pre-approved zones without seeking community approval. City planners say the move will help speed up rental home construction, but King says this could hurt communities.
It's allowing the planners and their developer friends, even in the nonprofit world, to decide what we need rather than allowing the residents to decide.
With the city moving to rezone more areas like this in the near future, Rhiannon Latimer is urging council to consider the impacts on current residents.
The thought of uprooting their whole lives, where they thought they were safe, and they would be here forever, is just, it's horrible, really.
I'm Joe Paris in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
WorkSafe BC has fined 2 companies after a bridge construction worker fell to his death in Fort St. John 2 years ago. Yoho Resources and Great Northern Bridge Works must pay $156,000 for failing to provide the proper safety equipment.
Coming up after the break, residents fight to save their favorite rec center.
A children's book with a real-life whale tale.
And why we spend tomorrow remembering.
Cut. That's a wrap, folks.
BCIT, your future starts here.
Welcome back to BCIT Magazine. North Vancouver residents could soon be without a place to play, but not if they can help it. My co-anchor, James Parisi, explains the problem.
Residents from all over North Vancouver gathered at Harry Jerome Rec Centre Saturday in hopes to keep the rec centre open. The city plans to close the old rec centre while a new one is built on the field across the street. So far, a petition to stop the demolition has over 3,600 signatures.
And we will have one less and the biggest community center on the North Shore for the next 3 to 5 years, depending on how long construction actually takes. So we're here today to tell the city that we need to keep it open. All the different user groups need to keep it open.
For North Shore Minor Lacrosse, a closure could be devastating for its players.
Today, and we are looking, but with the closure of Harry Jerome and 4 years of a rebuild, we don't have a place. And that is heartbreaking for me.
But Weber wasn't the only one speaking for her cause. Members of the Squamish First Nation have been a part of North Shore Lacrosse for decades.
There's many experiences. There's many things that I went through in this wonderful arena, that I passed down. My nephews, my nieces, my daughters. I coached for over 30 years or more.
And it's not just sports associations that could be homeless. Seniors groups will be among those out in the cold if the city continues on its current course.
If you haven't already raised your hand, raise it now.
The current Harry Jerome Rec Centre is scheduled to close at the end of December. As names on the petition continue to rise, the city remains fairly quiet on the matter. For now, organizations continue their fight to keep Harry Jerome open. For BCIT Magazine in North Vancouver, I'm James Parisi.
Canadians are once again allowed to drive across the U.S. border after a 20-month hiatus. Travelers are required to be double vaccinated to go south. So far, the crowds have not materialized. Officials think it's because you can't get back into Canada without a costly PCR test.
You may have read about baby animals being adopted by creatures of another species. Now, we learn about a lost narwhal that has joined a beluga pod, and it's based on a true story. Reporter Makenna O'Neill tells us why it's making a splash.
Others hunt and play. Narwhal sets off on his way.
Maple Ridge children's author Tiffany Stone has written a new book called Little Narwhal Not Alone.
Nature can inspire young writers so that they can write about their environment. I think that's really important right now, to really connect with the world around you.
The story was inspired by a true event. In 2016, a lone narwhal showed up 1,000 kilometers south of its usual home in the Arctic. It had joined a pod of beluga whales.
Whales usually stick to whatever their range is. And it's very rare for just a lone individual to just kind of explore very far from where they are from, and especially to be living and accepted by a different species is also super rare.
Stone felt a connection to the land of her childhood.
My dad was a helicopter engineer, and he worked in the north of Canada and also Greenland all through my childhood. So I always felt a kind of a connection to the north. It was an interesting place to me. The fact that this narwhal had started there and then journeyed into Quebec, where I was born, I would just live there till I was 2, really, really connected with me.
Although the mammals are related, they don't typically hang out. This narwhal has seemingly adopted these belugas, learning their behaviors. The narwhal is the spotty one amongst the white belugas.
Climate change and the things changing in the ocean, migration pattern and ranges for different populations are bound to change. So, maybe it's going to happen more in the future. I'm not sure, but...
The narwhal has yet to be spotted this year, but organizations like the Grem Project are still on the lookout for the narwhal and his friends. I'm Makenna O'Neill in Maple Ridge for BCIT Magazine.
We are now live with Makenna O'Neill. Makenna, do narwhals and belugas communicate similarly?
Well, there isn't much research known about the narwhal like there is for the beluga, but what they do know is that the beluga communicates through clicking and blowing bubbles, and specifically this narwhal has been seen blowing bubbles, which is not typical for its species.
So, is it possible that we will see more species of whales coexisting?
Well, with climate change, it's a definite possibility. In this case, when the ice melted, it confused the narwhal and made him travel far from home. So this is definitely something we could see in the future. Back to you.
Tomorrow is Remembrance Day in Canada. Ceremonies and other related events will be held across the Lower Mainland. Over at the Cenotaph in Burnaby, we hear why Canadians acknowledge this day. Gerlinda Yekel has been Legion 83's secretary for 4 years. She helps run Remembrance Day events. During the last couple of years, due to COVID-19 restrictions, the ceremonies have had to be virtual. But Yekel believes this hasn't changed the significance of this very special day.
To remember the ones that gave their lives and the ones that are alive still, their dedication in keeping us free. We need to continue to remember them each year. This Remembrance Day, it's a little bit different due to COVID. There will still be lots of room for people to participate if they want to honor the vet. We'll be putting out the wreaths in front of the cenotaph. You're all welcome to come.
This year marks the 100th anniversary people have worn a poppy to honor veterans. The tradition began in 1921, inspired by the famous poet John McCrae, who wrote the poem Flanders Fields. On November 8th, Canadians recognized Indigenous Veterans Day. A special beaded poppy is worn on that day.
Coming up on BCIT Magazine, how dancing queens are flourishing.
How to make a daunting task a little more fun.
BCIT Television and Video Production. You've got potential.
Winter is coming to BCIT, so it's time to get ready for all the holiday festivities. I'm Braden Ursel.
And I'm Angelina Ravelli with your community calendar for November 10th. Are you in the Christmas spirit? Well, good. The Vancouver Christmas Market is back in town. Come down to Jack Pole Plaza between November 13th to December 24th to enjoy everything this great event has to offer. From food to Christmas gifts, there's something for everyone.
Tired of putting up your own Christmas lights? Well, that's okay, because the Festival of Lights show is back at Van Dusen. We're talking about a Whoville-sized light show. Over 1 million lights on 15 acres of beautiful scenery.
Don't forget your poppy. Tomorrow is Remembrance Day. Events will be held across the Lower Mainland, such as one just up here in Forest Lawn Memorial Park. Remember to double check to see if your event is virtual or in person.
And that's your community calendar for November 10th.
Have a good one, Burnaby.
The art of drag has danced its way back into Vancouver nightclubs. But as reporter Bianca Rego found out, drag is so much more than just the looks, the outfits, and the performances.
If you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen up in here?
Nathan Fadier is a renowned dancer and choreographer who has coached contestants on RuPaul's Drag Race. He calls Vancouver home.
What drew you specifically to drag?
For us as queer humans, the drag show is always the center of a good time. I had started taking some dance classes where I put on a pair of heels, and I knew that that connection with my feminine side was so comfortable for me. I just had to stop and go, holy, this is so special.
COVID restrictions have recently been lifted on clubs, so venues can invite back double-vaxxed clients.
What do you think that now things are at full capacity? Like, how is that going to impact everything?
I think drag is such a part of community, especially for the gay community. And visibility, you know, we need this for us to be a part of culture. And gay people are allowed to be in culture.
Canada's Drag Race is back, baby.
Nathan says for many artists, drag is an act of self-expression that promotes inclusivity, strength, and self-love.
How do you think the audience is going to react being at a full capacity drag show?
Watching a performer be their most authentic self in their armor, and then having us as an audience member connecting with one another in that space is so beautiful. Being at full capacity gives us the opportunity to have connection with one another again, and real connection. Drag is a way to find confidence. I think it's like an armor. You're putting on an armor of confidence and sass. Everyone loves a drag show. Let's dance.
Bianca Rego in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
Reporter Bianca Rego joins us now live. Are there any notable upcoming events that Vancouverites could attend at full capacity?
Actually, yes. There's been a lot of buzz about the upcoming Nutcracker Ballet to the Orpheum Theatre on December 11th. And you can also see our friend Nate performing at another performance of the Nutcracker at the Centennial Theatre on December 5th.
So what regulations will attendees need to follow at these events?
Everyone attending the event will need to prove that they've been double vaccinated for at least 2 weeks, and they also need to be wearing a mask at all times unless they're sitting down and enjoying the show. Back to you.
We're used to seeing people wearing funny costumes on Halloween, but what you might be surprised to see is these characters coming to pick up your trash. Reporter Leila Khader introduces us.
He's got big feet and large head, and he's ready for work.
I love Mario.
Yeah, he loves Mario.
The man inside the Mario costume is Adam Burley, owner of Happy Land Junk Removal Service.
I like to clean up areas. I like everybody to have a nice, clean community to live in, make them feel better about their community, not garbage everywhere.
Customers can choose their favorite cartoon characters to come and pick up their old items. And the response has been?
You try, never gonna say.
Very positive. A lot of people love it. I've gotten comments on Facebook that it just made their day. It put a smile on their face, and I love hearing that.
Mario feels upset over how much illegal dumping in the community. According to Metro Vancouver, in 2020, there were approximately 47,000 illegal dumping incidents, with a cleanup cost of $3.6 million.
There are people that are just going to circumvent the law because it's easier for them, or they don't want to go through the process, the proper process. They're basically lazy.
One of the most common items illegally dumped are mattresses. So, Metro is trying to fix that.
That when you purchase your mattress, you're going to pay that fee up front, and it provides that added incentive for people to dispose of them properly.
It's been almost 4 months since Mario, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and 30 other characters started going around Metro Vancouver to clean the community. And Adam is hoping to expand his project all around BC.
We need to take care of our environment, keep it clean so everybody can enjoy it, go for nature walks. It's very relaxing.
Metro Vancouver is urging residents to report any witnessed illegal dumping in their neighborhood. I'm Leila Khader.
It's me, Mario.
In Burnaby for BCIT Magazine.
If you have any questions regarding the show, you can contact us at bcit-broadcast.com or bcitnews.com. James, are you trying out a Mario look yourself?
Actually, Callie, I'm growing this out for Movember. I'm doing this in support of prostate cancer and men's mental health.
That's wonderful, James. I'm Callie McTavish. Thank you for joining us, folks.
And I'm James Parisi. Have a great one, Burnaby.